bring it back out to the Tar Heels State, where we continue to track preparations in different regions of the country and certainly out towards the coast. So we want to go out now to a regular friend of Live Impact News, the Outer Banks, where Sam Walker is joining us from Water Lily. Sam, how's it going?
It's going well. Everybody, I think we're more watching everybody else around the state do the prep work while we're out here like, yeah, it's going to blow a little bit. It's going to rain a little bit, maybe snow a little bit, and we'll just have to sit back and, unfortunately, watch you guys get all the hammering.
Yeah, I was going to say it's nice to see everyone else just sort of experience and take those lessons and observations from us here. But, what is the mood there, I should ask, in terms of preparation? Are people taking this seriously, or like, we've seen worse kind of attitude?
A little bit of a seen worse and kind of disappointed, I think, more because we're not getting snow. This time last year, we had snow on the ground out here. In fact, we had back-to-back snowfall here on the Outer Banks in January of 2025. And when it snows on the beach, obviously, everybody loves it because the pictures are great, the video's great. We get a chance to take the snowboards out and not have to drive 5 hours to use them, and can slide down the Wright Memorial or slide down Jockey's Ridge when it snows like that. But yeah, it's more like everybody's like, okay, we'll get ready and get a few things ready, but there's really no need to. But what the big thing it is having an impact on is travel for folks who are planning to come in, because we have a lot of off-season events now. A lot more things go on here on the Outer Banks than we've ever had before in January. We just came off wedding weekend a week ago. A lot of events were planned for this weekend that is impacting people coming from interior sections of Virginia and North Carolina, which are going to get hammered by this. And those folks have canceled plans, canceled weekend getaways, for example. So there have been some impacts. But as far as things getting ready out here, it's more, we're going to the grocery store because it's going to rain all day or snow a little bit and then rain all day pretty much for the weekend and blow a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of going through the motions because everyone else is, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The NCDOT has been out. They have put down the brine on all the roads, all the major roads here and all the bridges, which, of course, obviously create our situation out here is unique because we've got bridges which do freeze a lot faster, and they're long. I mean, we're talking about bridges that are 2 and 3 miles and 4 miles and 5 miles long. So there's some angles to that other parts of the state, other parts of the country don't have to deal with. We've got Ocracoke, for example. The only way to get there is by ferry, and when you get below freezing temperatures, those ferries do have to run through water, and that water sprays up on the deck, and if you get winds up to a certain point, they don't even run, but you get a little bit of a wave out there, you've got ice all over the decks of those ferries. You've got ice on the steel loading docks that they use to get cars and people on and off. So those are some of the things that are being preparing for the possibility that travel to Ocracoke is going to be limited for a couple of days, because we are looking at some pretty strong winds. We just had, over in the last few minutes, a wind advisory went up here for the Outer Banks and a winter weather advisory, in fact. A little surprised by that, but that's partially because we are going to get a little bit of snow to start things out before the rain really picks up and turns into a slushy mess.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it with visitors making plans for these great events. And so what are the contingency plans for some of these events that were planned for this weekend?
Unfortunately, it's just canceled. A lot of that's because of the planning that goes into a lot of them weeks and months in advance. For the most part, it's kind of tough to reschedule things, whether it's just simply an artist, a musician who is going to play at a winery down the road because she's going to be in Florida for the next 2 months. Things like that. Hotel rooms, obviously, those come into play, vacation rentals, because as much as we have inventory available, a lot of inventory goes offline this time of year because this is when you do your renovations. This is when you do your deep cleans. This is when you replace all the furniture in the vacation house. So sometimes it's a little tougher to try and rebook somewhere else because a lot of times things are just offline. So in most cases, things that were planned for this weekend are being canceled, even though the weather's not having a direct impact. It's really about the fact that you're not going to have those people coming from Richmond and Washington and Raleigh and Charlotte and elsewhere around the mid-Atlantic. They're not going to be coming in for these events. So it's really kind of pointless to have them.
Yeah, and good point with, this is the time to get things done. Any talk about potential evacuations then for those who are out there?
No, not at all.
Not yet.
In fact, this storm is not going to have any coastal impacts other than some gusty, sustained winds starting tonight and through Saturday and into part of Sunday. One of the big things when we've been on the briefings with the National Weather Service has been trying to make sure, okay, we're not going to deal with any sound side flooding. We're not going to deal with any ocean side impacts that could cause problems on Highway 12. If anything, Highway 12 might be more sand on it, on Hatteras and Ocracoke Islands, which creates its own little problems, but those are minor compared to any flooding. We're not going to be dealing with houses in Buxton falling in the ocean out of this because of waves and wind. The wind's not really going to blow a long period of time, so we're not going to get big waves build up. We're kind of in a low tidal cycle right now, a lunar tidal cycle. So thankfully, no evacuations. Again, the only real travel problem might be for Ocracoke with the ferries not being able to run if the winds get up to a certain point, if the waves on the Pamlico Sound and across Hatteras Inlet get to a point. And again, that ice buildup you could see possibly happen. Those are probably the only impacts, but those are minor. Those are almost, we call that Friday on the Outer Banks.
Yeah, so it kind of feels like from where I sit, for you, it seems like another day. You're going to just do your job as you do, covering the weather and making your observations with very little to no concerns for your safety.
Yeah, for the most part. And again, this thing starts out with some snow during the day on Saturday. That could cause a little bit of an issue, but it's really going to be a short-term issue. We're really looking maybe a 12 to 18-hour period. Overnight Sunday morning, overnight Saturday, Sunday morning, we get that rain that's going to come in. And again, it's going to turn into a slushy mix. And really, it's only a portion of the Outer Banks and the northern inland areas. And these are the areas that are the Currituck, Camden, Pasquotank. We do have some wind chill issues that we may deal with tonight. In fact, the city of Elizabeth City has opened a warming shelter because we're going to see wind chills in the single digits overnight. And then, of course, next week we're looking at some pretty cold temperatures and some higher winds that are going to follow this system. So into next week, we're going to be dealing with some cold weather problems. And, of course, that brings its own concerns with, pipes freezing and all that stuff. And those are concerns that are very legitimate, and people need to be prepared for the possibility of that. But as far as the extended power outages and any real major travel issues, just trying to get to the grocery store or having to go to work on Monday morning, that for the most part, us out here, we're not going to be dealing with it like the rest of the state looks like they're going to be dealing with it.
All right, very good. Thank you for those observations. Sam Walker from OBX, who reports on weather conditions out there, and appreciate your time letting us know that you're going to get, it sounds like you'll be okay.
Yep. Well,
knock on wood.
Do our thing. We always do.
Do your thing. You got it. All right. Thank you, Sam. Talk to you next time.